When a TV star is accused of something awful, it's easy to wonder how someone with so much to lose could land themselves into so much trouble. Here are a few examples of TV stars from 80s sitcoms who've been accused of serious crimes. Bill Cosby has been on television since the 1960s, his first major role being Alexander Scott in the series I Spy. By the time the 70s rolled around, he was seen regularly on the animated show Fat Albert and the Cosby Kids. But despite how popular Cosby was in those 2 decades, he reached another level of fame in the 80s with The Cosby Show. During the series, which ran on NBC from 1984 to 1992, the comedian played Dr. Heathcliff Huxtable, an OBGYN, a wise father, and an all-around good guy. But that image would be decimated after a number of women said that Cosby drugged and sexually assaulted them. As multiple news outlets reported, the number of accusers quickly grew to 60. At first, it didn't seem that Cosby would be charged for the alleged acts due to statute of limitation laws. However, that changed after a Temple University worker named Andrea Constant testified that he drugged and sexually assaulted her in his Philadelphia home in 2004. According to CNN, Cosby was then charged with 3 felony counts of aggravated indecent assault and was sentenced to 3 to 10 years of prison in 2018. But in June of 2021, the Pennsylvania State Supreme Court overturned Cosby's ruling. This was partially because a prosecutor made a deal with Cosby years ago and said he wouldn't prosecute him if he agreed to give a deposition in Constant's civil case, according to the Associated Press. Cosby was released from Pennsylvania's CSI Phoenix on Wednesday, June 30th, 2021, after serving 3 years of his sentence. When the NBC sitcom Diff'rent Strokes aired between 1978 and 1986, Todd Bridges, who played Willis Jackson, probably sat in a lot of comfy trailers between scenes. But by 1989, he'd be sitting in the back of a cop car in North Hollywood, California, after being accused of attempted murder. According to the Associated Press, a 23-year-old Bridges and another man named Harvey Duckett had an altercation with Kenneth Tex Clay, a convicted drug dealer, who believed the 2 men were breaking into a vacant house that was connected to drug activity. The Associated Press noted the actor was arrested at the same house in January of that year on cocaine-related charges. And on the day Bridges and Duckett were approached by Clay, Bridges was accused of shooting him 5 times, while Duckett stabbed him. But in November of 1989, while being represented by famed attorney Johnny Cochran, the 80s star was found not guilty of attempted murder, as well as attempted voluntary manslaughter, according to UPI. And as news outlets reported, the following year, Bridges was acquitted again after he was retried on the sole count of assault with a deadly weapon. Things eventually took a positive turn for Bridges. As he told Page Six in 2021, he has been sober since 1993. Neither Dustin Diamond or his character Samuel Screech Powers on NBC's Saved by the Bell were associated with violence. So some might have been shocked when the Associated Press reported the actor was arrested for stabbing a man in 2015 on Christmas Day. Per the report, Diamond and his girlfriend, Amanda Schutz, got into a physical altercation with a group at a restaurant in Port Washington, Wisconsin. According to the Associated Press, Schutz became upset when people began taking photos of her and Diamond. But according to the actor's version of things, the group was extremely rowdy, and he eventually saw Schutz being held by 2 men while she was bleeding. That's when Diamond acted and claimed he stabbed the victim with the pen he was using to sign his check. Later, however, the California native admitted to carrying a knife, but said he didn't stab anyone intentionally. He was just swinging his arms around trying to free himself after being grabbed. Eventually, Diamond was charged with recklessly endangering public safety, faced a 10-year prison sentence, and pleaded not guilty. In the end, he was found guilty of the disorderly conduct with a dangerous weapon charge, as well as carrying a concealed weapon. According to CNN, he was sentenced to 120 days in jail, 15 months of probation, and had to pay $1,000 in restitution. Sadly, Diamond died in February of 2021 after being diagnosed with stage 4 small cell carcinoma just 1 month prior. He was 44 years old. You might remember Brian Bonsall as the little kid who played Andy Keaton, the youngest sibling on Family Ties. After the show, he had several run-ins with the law. According to the Associated Press, in 2007 he was accused of assaulting his girlfriend in Boulder, Colorado, where he resided. He was charged with second-degree assault and false imprisonment soon after, but claimed self-defense. Based on his version of events, Bonsall said that his girlfriend stabbed him in the arm, which she denied. According to Deseret News, he pleaded guilty to third-degree assault and got probation. In 2009, Bonsall landed in hot water with cops again when they responded to a report of two people fighting in a Boulder, Colorado apartment building. According to Daily Camera, his friend Michael Trujillo said the actor, quote, picked up a stool, broke it over a stair railing, and hit him 5 to 6 times in the face. He faced charges of third-degree assault and was dinged for failing to make a court appearance regarding the 2007 arrest. According to the Associated Press, he also got in trouble with authorities in 2010 for smoking marijuana, a violation of his probation. The Daily News reported he pleaded guilty and received probation for the 2009 incident. Speaking with StarTrek.com in 2016, Bonsall said, "I'm not proud of my past mistakes, but you live and you learn, I guess. Hopefully. I've learned a lot about myself, that's for sure." On July 30th, 1998, former Diff'rent Strokes star Gary Coleman was arrested for assault and battery for punching a fan in the face who wanted an autograph, and many seemed really taken aback. And that level of shock probably deepened when people learned that Coleman, who was one of TV's biggest stars in the 80s, was working as a mall security guard. As Court TV detailed, Coleman was shopping at a uniform store to purchase a bulletproof vest for his security guard job when Tracy Fields, a Los Angeles bus driver, asked for the autograph. Coleman only signed his name, and Fields got upset because he didn't write a kind message to her as well. According to the actor's court testimony, the woman was, quote, really rude to him. He said, "She wouldn't leave me alone. I was getting scared and she was getting ugly." However, before the trial ended, Coleman, who was facing 1 year behind bars, pleaded no contest to disturbing the peace and avoided jail time. He was also placed on 1 year of probation, had to pay a $400 fine, and was ordered to take anger management classes. Tragically, in May of 2010, the former TV star died after falling accidentally at his house in Utah. He was 42 years old. In 2019, former Silver Spoon star Rick Schroder was accused of hitting his girlfriend twice, resulting in 2 arrests. According to CNN, the first incident took place on April 2nd in the actor's home in Topanga, California, but the details are fuzzy. The Associated Press reported Schroder's girlfriend said the incident was, quote, a big misunderstanding after police arrived. And because there was no proof of the alleged assault, there were no charges filed. According to the Associated Press, on May 1st, 2019, Schroder was taken into police custody after his girlfriend phoned 911 and said that he punched her. But later that month, prosecutors said they wouldn't be pressing charges. Per the Associated Press, not only did, quote, prosecutors say she was uncooperative during the investigation, but she claimed that Schroder hit her by accident because she startled him as he was sleeping. The woman also said that he used alcohol and Ambien before bed, according to legal documents obtained by NBC Los Angeles. And the former NYPD Blue star spent around 6 hours in the pokey before being released on $50,000 bond. He denied the accusations. Mackenzie Phillips, who starred in One Day at a Time as Julie Romano, had a long-time battle with substance abuse, which eventually got her fired from the show.
Mother dear, I want you to know I'm very sorry for my whole attitude.
There was a period, however, when it seemed Phillips got her addiction under control. Despite this, though, a 2008 arrest would prove otherwise. At the time, Reuters reported that the actor was arrested and taken into custody at Los Angeles International Airport. Authorities told the outlet, following a secondary screening, she was found to be in possession of what appeared to be cocaine and heroin. Talking to people about the arrest in 2016, Phillips said the incident was a turning point. She explained, "Sometimes the universe has a plan to stop you in your tracks to save your life. That was that day for me." In 2016, Breathe Life Healing Centers announced Phillips joined their team as an addiction counselor. One could say the troubles that surrounded Dana Plato after being on television led to a deeper look into child stars and how they've been affected by fame, money, and overall stardom. Not unlike her Diff'rent Strokes colleagues Todd Bridges and Gary Coleman, she went through some difficult times after the series. As NBC3 News recounted, Plato was arrested for robbing $160 from a Las Vegas video store with a pellet gun in 1991.
I had the door open, she came in, stopped at the counter, and she pulled out a gun.
Not only was she caught after returning to the scene of the crime while police were still investigating, but the clerk recognized her during the robbery. Her bail was set at $13,000, and Sin City staple Wayne Newton ponied up the cash to help her out. She was hit with probation, and according to the Associated Press, she, quote, was given another 5 years probation for forging prescriptions for Valium in 1992. Sadly, the way it appeared, Plato continued to have personal struggles after the robbery, and she died on May 8, 1999. Her death was later ruled a suicide by the Deputy State Medical Examiner. Many were probably first introduced to Gary Dourdan as the character Shatsa Zulu in NBC's A Different World, but that was far from his last role. In November 2011, he was in serious legal trouble after his ex-girlfriend, Nicole Cannizzaro, claimed he broke her nose in a violent attack. As TMZ reported, Cannizzaro alleged Dourdan began hitting her while she was shopping at Whole Foods with his son. She said she then went to the actor's apartment and was attacked for a second time. Dourdan was charged with felony assault and battery. A judge also granted Cannizzaro a restraining order against Dourdan, who denied the allegations once a trial date was set. He told E! News in 2012, "I have been waiting a long time and I haven't had a voice. I did not do this." Based on Dourdan's explanation, he discovered his child missing on the night of the incident and found him shopping with Cannizzaro at Whole Foods. According to E! News, he said that he, quote, put his son into a cab, and when Cannizzaro tried to get in as well, Dourdan pushed her away. He then claimed that Cannizzaro went to his place and, quote, broke in through his garage and was throwing power tools around, right before going to a personal injury lawyer. In the end, TMZ reported Dourdan took a plea deal and received 5 years probation, while also having to take 52 weeks of domestic violence and drug counseling. Presumably, when most thought of Scott Baio, they probably only thought of Chachi, his character on Happy Days, or maybe Charles, his role on Charles in Charge. But after 2018 rolled around, his reputation took a huge hit since his former Charles in Charge castmate Nicole Eggert alleged he sexually assaulted her when she was a child. She wrote in a now-deleted tweet, "Ask Scott Baio what happened in his garage at his house when I was a minor." Baio defended himself on Facebook Live and said he had sex with Eggert, but not until after the show ended and she was 18 years old. He also brought up an interview Eggert had on Nick Ritchie Radio, where she alleged Baio molested her when she was underage. Eggert also shared her story on Megyn Kelly Today. Eggert told Kelly, "The issue with him is that he was our boss. He also was telling me, 'You can't tell anybody. This is illegal. I will go to jail.'" Following Eggert's interview, Baio appeared on Good Morning America, where he denied the allegations. Then in February 2018, Alexander Polinsky, who also played in Charles in Charge, alleged he suffered abuse and, quote, mental torture from Baio, while claiming that he bragged to him about bedding, quote, young girls and co-stars of the show, according to The Hollywood Reporter. The charges against Baio were dismissed in June 2018, with the DA citing the statute of limitations, according to People. Actor T.K. Carter is largely known for being in a slew of TV shows and movies in the 70s and 80s, but some probably know him from playing teacher Mike Fulton on Punky Brewster. In 1991, however, his name became associated with what seemed to be a pretty bizarre crime for a famous, seemingly successful actor to commit. According to the Associated Press, Carter walked up to a woman in her driveway and demanded her luxury car. She alleged he punched her in the stomach before making off with her vehicle, and she reported the car as stolen. According to the Los Angeles Times, when cops eventually caught up with Carter, he was apparently, quote, standing against a car and babbling incoherently. Per the Associated Press, after the actor was arrested, he paid his bail, which was set at $10,000. For some reason, details about the case after his arrest are scarce. But either way, the crime didn't seem to slow down Carter's acting career much, as he played in well over 20 shows after that 1991 incident, including How to Get Away with Murder. Who would think that Janet Wood would spend a night in jail? Probably not many, but that's what happened on July 4th, 2009. Well, it wasn't Wood who got put in cuffs. It was the woman who played her on Three's Company. According to the Associated Press, Joyce DeWitt found herself in hot water, quote, after she drove past a barricade near a park in El Segundo. The officer who pulled her over put her through field sobriety tests, which she did not pass. From there, she was booked and charged with 1 count of driving under the influence and 1 count of driving with a blood alcohol level over 0.08%, according to ET. She was released on bail the next morning after plunking down $5,000. According to NBC Los Angeles, the West Virginia native eventually pleaded no contest to misdemeanor DUI and received 3 years probation. She was ordered to pay a $510 fine, along with added penalty costs. She also had to complete a 9-month alcohol program. It's safe to assume that DeWitt will hop in a cab these days if she's had too much to drink, possibly giving an Uber or Lyft driver a memorable shift. It was the 2019 college admissions cheating scandal that made all kinds of headlines, with former Full House actor Lori Loughlin earning a stay in a Dublin, California federal prison for her role in it. In March 2019, it was revealed that Loughlin and dozens of others, including Desperate Housewives alum Felicity Huffman, were involved in the college admissions scandal known as Operation Varsity Blues. Both Loughlin and husband Massimo Giannulli were hit with multiple charges, including 1 count of conspiracy to commit mail fraud and honest services mail fraud. According to NBC News, Lori Loughlin and Massimo Giannulli reportedly paid $500,000 to a man named Rick Singer and Key Worldwide Foundation to, quote, bolster their 2 daughters' chances of gaining admission to the University of Southern California. Then, after first pleading not guilty, the actor and her husband accepted a plea deal and admitted to 1 count of conspiracy to commit wire and mail fraud. Loughlin turned herself in to begin her 2-month prison sentence on October 29, 2020, and was released in December of that year. She also has been placed on 2 years of supervised release, has to pay a $150,000 fine, and must do 100 hours of community service, according to CNN. Her husband, meanwhile, was sentenced to 5 months of prison and also received 2 years of supervised release. When former Growing Pains star Tracy Gold's mugshot surfaced after being booked for felony drunk driving in 2004, her eyes were wet with tears and she appeared unhappy. But she also probably felt relieved that her family survived what could have been a tragic accident. As Today reported at the time, Gold flipped her SUV on a California highway. Her husband and their 3 children were all in the vehicle. The crash left her husband with an injured neck and one of her children with a broken collarbone. Somehow, Gold, whose alcohol level was over the legal limit, escaped injury. Then, after posting bail, she was released from police custody, only to face all of the legal drama that was in store. On January 6, 2005, Gold, who played Carol Seaver on the sitcom, pleaded guilty to drunk driving, according to Today. And as the Associated Press reported at the time, she pleaded guilty to a second felony charge, which landed her, quote, 3 years probation, completion of 30 days of work release, supervised by the jail, and 240 hours of community service. Gold told Oprah Winfrey in 2005,
My inner voice said no, because my own code of ethic is that I don't drink and drive. It felt like a dream, like it felt like I couldn't believe that this was happening.
If you or anyone you know is struggling with addiction issues, help is available. Visit the Substance Abuse and Mental Health Services Administration website or contact SAMHSA's National Helpline at 1-800-662-HELP 4357.